Sky crashed in a snowstorm and lost her gear, stranding her alone on the mountain. This was one of the first times a pup had went missing in the series, and we'll go over this and all the other times we've seen a pup go missing in PAW Patrol. Continuing, upon crashing, she loses her pup tag, leaving her with no way to contact anyone. Everest and Ace, who she was on her way to visit, noticed she should have already arrived long ago. They then tell Ryder, who launches a search for Sky. Chase and Everest are deployed on the mission. After a few failed attempts, Chase and Ryder put on the drone sirens to see if Sky would be able to hear and find the drone. This plan succeeds. Everest goes to retrieve her, and they all go back to the chalet safe and sound. Just so you know, we'll be counting missing as the pup isn't present at the mission briefing, their location is unknown to all the other team members, the mission or part of it revolves around finding the missing pup, and dream episodes will not be counted. Our next one is in Mission PAW Quest for the Crown, where Chase has been recruited to protect the crown of Barkenberg. But Sweetie, the royal pup, snatches the crown for herself. She then takes Chase's pup tag and traps him in a hidden room with no way out. Once Ryder is notified that Chase has disappeared, he launches a search for him. Luckily, Chase is able to make some noise and notify the others of his whereabouts, and Ryder and Rebel are able to reunite him with the team. Another time Chase went missing was in Modo Pups Save a Sneezy Chase. After he's afraid he might hurt Wildcat's feelings with his allergies, Chase goes to the desert to ride on his motorcycle. But there, the Rough Pack steals his pup tag before losing it to a gopher seconds after. Marshall notices Chase's absence, so the PAW Patrol team then begins looking for him. A little bit later, Chase sees the Rough Pack in danger of a boulder. He leads them into a cave where they stay safe, but unfortunately get trapped inside. Luckily, the team is nearby with Wildcat, who causes Chase's cat allergies to go off. They're able to hear his sneezes, which is how the PAW Patrol finds him and is ultimately able to save him and free the pack from the cave. Now we have Marshall's first time in Merpup Save the Turbits. When Mama Merpup sees the Turbits in peril, she sings her song in hopes someone will hear her. Marshall wakes up to her sound and runs out to the bay in curiosity. Upon looking into the water, Mama Merpup pulls him in and transforms him into his Merpup form. Meanwhile, at the lookout, Sky notices that Marshall is missing. She tells Ryder, who contacts Marshall right away, but his pup tag signal cuts out in the middle of the call. Ryder then declares a mission, and he and Zuma go searching for Marshall. They're able to locate him quickly and then assist the Turbit cousins out of trouble. The second time Marshall had been misplaced was in Pup Save a Friend. After he had a series of accidents around town, he goes back to the lookout with his self-esteem low. He tries to play volleyball with the others, but ends up tangling them in the net, with the ball rolling down the driveway. As he goes to fetch it, everyone heads inside to watch the new Apollo Super Pup episode. Marshall returns shortly after, and he hears the pups talking about the silly pup who messes everything up. He's quick to assume that he's the pup in question. Feeling defeated, he hops in his truck and drives off. After the Apollo is over, the pups notice that Marshall is nowhere to be seen. Sky tells Ryder about this, who then calls Marshall. Marshall tells them,
"Hi, Ryder. I'm gonna take a break from the PAW Patrol. The pups are tired of me messing up the games. I want to stop causing problems." Huh? Marshall, out.
After that, Ryder declares a town-wide search for their fire pup. They do a lot of looking, but not much finding, until Chase sends out his drone, which successfully locates Marshall. And just in time, as a strike of lightning knocked down a tree onto a bunny burrow. Luckily, the PAW Patrol is able to work together and save the day. After that, Marshall tells the pups why he ran off, to which Rubble reveals they were talking about the villain in Apollo, not their favorite Dalmatian. By the way, if you've enjoyed this so far, Marshall thinks you should like the video and subscribe. Marshall had also gone missing in Pup Save their pirated Sea Patroller, where Sid and Arby steal the Sea Patroller. While he's looking for the Sea Patroller, Marshall slips on his boat's gear shift and crashes it onto an island. Sid spots the boat and in his usual fashion swipes it immediately, though he doesn't see Marshall until after grabbing it, so he then deems Marshall his new swabby. Sid also takes his pup tag, stashing it in a box. Once Sid and RB aren't looking, Marshall is able to open it so he can contact the team. Then, with him on board and the others off, they're all able to work together to successfully recover the Sea Patroller and Marshall. And that's not all, for Marshall went missing one more time in Pup Save Sensei Yumi. While practicing Pup Fu with Yumi, his collar falls onto a precariously placed branch. He reaches over to grab it and would have fallen off if not for Yumi's swift rescue. But instead, she falls onto a small cliffside ledge. A bit later, Marshall tries to retrieve the collar using a stick, but just knocks it off and Yumi attempts to catch it. But she fails and loses her balance. Marshall hops down to save her from falling off the ledge. He succeeds, but is now stuck there as well. Meanwhile, Ryder finds out that a storm is coming and tries to tell the Pup Fu pair. When neither of them respond, Ryder, Sky, and Everest set out to find them. Sky is able to locate them and airlift Yumi to solid ground. After that, the wind gets too strong for Sky to do the same for Marshall, so Everest sticks her grapple into the cliff's edge and Marshall is able to ride down the rope like a zipline. They then return to the safety of the lookout. Rocky is our next pup who went missing in Pup Save the Easter egg hunt. This happens when he, alongside Chicoletta, enter the giant Easter egg basket that the mama eagle snatches. They're then carried off to the eagle's nest. The two of them take care of the eagle's egg and have a surprisingly pleasant run-in with Mama Eagle. Shortly after that, Rocky and Chicoletta are able to flee with the help of the PAW Patrol. This happens to him again and Rocky saves himself. When sea turtles are migrating to Adventure Bay, Humdinger devises a scheme to make them come to Foggy Bottom instead. He lures Rocky, who is preparing Adventure Bay's beaches for the turtles' arrival, all the way to Junk Island. There, his kittens steal his pup tag and tugboat, leaving him with no way to leave the island and no means of contact. During the mission briefing, Ryder addresses Rocky's absence and deploys Sky to look for him. She finds Junk Island, but as Rocky is rummaging through the junk, he's hidden from Sky's view. Luckily, Rocky is able to use his ingenuity and create a contraption from the island's junk to get himself off the island. Then there's Zuma, who got stuck in Pup Save the Mountain Surfers. While windsurfing out the bay with Hurricane Harrigan, a big breeze blows their board all the way to Jake's mountain. As they shout for help while being blown up the mountain, they bump into a stack of logs that blocks the door of Jake's cabin. Their ride finally stops when the board gets wedged into the side of a cliff, but as Zuma lost his pup tag earlier, they can't call the PAW Patrol. Meanwhile, Jake had heard their cries but can't go search for them as he's trapped inside his cabin. He calls Ryder, who then summons the pups immediately. But once they all line up, Rocky points out Zuma's absence. It's now their mission to both read Jake and find Zuma and Harrigan. After rescuing Jake, they search for the panicked people he had heard. Once they find Harrigan's kite and the board's trail, they find the pair shortly afterwards. Everest sends out her grapple for Zuma to grab onto and successfully retrieves him. However, the board comes loose and Harrigan goes surfing down the mountain once more. But with some good old-fashioned teamwork and Zuma's surfing skills, Hurricane Harrigan is now safe as well. In Pup Save the White Wolf pup, Everest went missing while documenting wildlife with Captain Turbot. When watching White Wolf pup, a snowstorm hits. She leads it to a cave for safety, but a bunch of snow blocks the entrance, trapping them inside. The captain notices that Everest is absent and tells Ryder. Of course, he sends out the team to find her. Once they're where Everest was last seen, Chase is able to hear Everest singing and identify the cave she and the pup are in. Ryder then calls Rebel, who uses his dozer to free Everest and the White Wolf pup. Then we have Ryder, who needed the very team he leads to rescue him in Pup Save Ryder. While on a scenic mountain hike, he finds Garby stuck in a bush on a cliff's edge. He quickly realizes that he'll need the help of his pups, so he calls them to the lookout. As he talks to them remotely, Garby accidentally kicks Ryder's pup pad out of his hand, sending it flying down the mountainside. Now the pups need to not only save Ryder and Garby, but also pinpoint just where they are. Chase leads the pups in a search for him across the town. After numerous locations crossed out and many failed strategies, the pups are eventually able to find him. Sky airlifts him and Garby out, and just in the nick of time, they all return to the lookout and set their feet back on solid ground. Marshall is the one who went missing the most times, being 4 separate occasions. Chase and Rocky are behind him, both having 2, and Sky, Zuma, Ryder, and Everest all have 1 time each. This leaves Rubble as the only one of the original 8 members to not go missing. And that's all for this video. If you enjoyed, go check out that video right there, and as always, I'll see you next time.